This is 6 Minutes, the Seriously International Daily Newscast. It's Thursday, January 30th, and I'm Jacob Shropshire.
And I'm Emma Albright. People are eating breakfast in Boston while it's supper time in Singapore. Here in the Worldcrunch newsroom, our colleagues are getting ready for lunch. These are the latest headlines. Ahmed al-Sharaa is declared transition president of Syria, consolidating his power. The search is underway near Washington after a passenger plane collides with an army helicopter. And our daily quiz question comes to us from a courtroom in New Zealand. Our top story today is the consolidation of power by Ahmed al-Sharaa in Syria. Al-Sharaa was declared president for a transitional phase on Wednesday, less than 2 months after he led the campaign that toppled Bashar al-Assad. Sharaa also formed a temporary legislative council for a transitional period, while the Syrian constitution was suspended.
A man who sparked violent protests after setting fire to a copy of the Quran in Stockholm in 2023 was killed outside of his apartment in the city. The incident happened hours before he was due to receive a court verdict over the book-burning incident. 5 people were arrested over the shooting on Thursday. A search operation is underway in Washington, D.C. after an American Airlines jet collided with a military helicopter last night. Dozens of people are feared dead after the regional jet, with 64 people on board, crashed into a Black Hawk helicopter and fell into the Potomac River. 19 bodies have been recovered so far.
A number of hostages are set to be released today in the latest phase of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, including 5 Thai nationals. In exchange, Israel will release 110 Palestinians being held in prison. This is the 3rd hostage and prisoner exchange since the ceasefire started 11 days ago. Now let's take a closer look at what the international press is covering.
Colombian daily El Espectador's front page today featured a heart-wrenching photo of 2 children on a pile of food aid from the U.S. The paper reported on the risk that critical humanitarian support from the U.S. will be cut by the new Trump administration, which has frozen funding to all foreign aid. And in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the press is covering Felix Tshisekedi's criticism of the international community for a lack of action to deal with violence in the country. M23, a rebel group backed by Rwanda, has launched attacks in the eastern part of the DRC, capturing the regional city of Goma.
We have a piece today from Egypt-based Al-Manasa about continuing food insecurity in Gaza after the ceasefire. Jacob, break down the story for us.
Palestinian journalist Salim al-Rayas writes that despite the ceasefire, including agreements to allow more aid into Gaza, some people aren't seeing any of it yet. He writes, Mohammed Hassoun rejoiced when Israel and Hamas reached a ceasefire deal, which could bring some semblance of relief to his family after 15 months of devastating war. The Palestinian man, however, has yet to receive any aid for his displaced family sheltering in a tent near central Gaza. Since the ceasefire went into effect, the United Nations has reported a surge in the daily entry of supplies and humanitarian relief into Gaza. Yet Palestinians have complained that the aid that does get through is far from enough to cover their needs, especially food items, flour, frying oil, sugar, rice, and milk. The ceasefire was supposed to provide some relief for his hungry family. Quote, "Where does it go?" Hassan said of the aid. "No one gives us an answer."
We have a piece from the art director of pan-Arab news outlet Daraj on the new government of Syria removing images of statues and the word gods from school curriculum. She writes that removing these images and their rightful place in history is a dangerous call to war against truth and equality. The source of this call, a fear of freedom. And lastly, we have a piece in French daily Les Echos where chemist Bernard Meunier makes the case against swimming in the River Seine here in Paris. The photos of athletes swimming in the Seine during the Paris 2024 Olympics seem to have convinced some that the river could become a swimming pool for Parisians. But as the mayor of Paris's office considers protecting the rights of the Seine, Meunier argues that the river is above all a navigable waterway, and trying to maintain it as a kind of swimming pool is highly impractical.
We're wrapping things up today with a daily quiz question coming to us from New Zealand. What has a court in the country recognized as a legal person, granting it the same rights and responsibilities as a human being? A sheep, B, an Australian, C, a river, or D, a mountain? The correct answer is D, a mountain. A mountain in New Zealand, considered an ancestor by indigenous people, was recognized as a legal person on Thursday after a new law granted it all the rights and responsibilities of a human being. Taranaki Maunga Mountain is the latest natural feature to be granted personhood in New Zealand, which has ruled that a river and a stretch of sacred land are also people.
Do you think I can make my dog a legal person? That's the latest from around the world. If you like this podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you could help us out with a follow, share, and a 5-star rating on your preferred podcasting platform. For more of the best of the international press, delivered exclusively in English every day, visit us at worldcrunch.com. We'll see you here tomorrow. À demain.